Cadillac has just updated one of the best looking small SUVs out there on the market, and that is the XT4. And we're gonna have a look at what's changed with this minor update or facelift to the XT4. I think those changes on the exterior are subtle, but they make a nice difference, and it makes it look a lot more modern than the 2019 model. And I'm also gonna go off on a little bit of a sidetrack and talk about what's going on with Cadillac sedans, because sedans, they are slowly phasing out their sedans here in the US, but I think that's a big mistake, and I think the customers also know this, that the sedans are going away, and they actually keep buying more sedans now when they have less of a lineup of sedans than they used to when Cadillac had more sedans on the market. So I think Cadillac maybe might reconsider the choices of removing sedans from the US market and bring them back, because I think the new CT6 that is available in China, it looks really good, and it's sad that it doesn't come here. Imagine that car with big 22-inch wheels. It would look absolutely fantastic, and so did the old CT6, which I'm gonna show you in Photoshop when I compare a couple of sedans and show you exactly what's going on with the German sedans and why Cadillac is the new German standard, and in my opinion, when it comes to luxury sedans. But first of all, let's have a look at the Cadillac XT4 here and see what's new. So this is the Motor Trend article. I'm gonna link this down below if you want to go and check out the full article. So the XT4, the original XT4, is far from class leading, but know this, that really pisses off the leadership of Cadillac, because they wanted to sit higher, and that's part of why they made this refresh for the 2024 model year. And they want to boost their sales over the next decade as Cadillac transitions into an all-electric brand by 2030. So I guess no more exciting Blackwing model after that year, which is unfortunate. On the inside, that's where the big changes happened. You now have a big TV, 33-inch curved LED display that comes from the Cadillac Lyric in this small luxury SUV. I think that's from a technological standpoint, that's quite an upgrade from what we had in the 2019 model. But then you ask, what was really wrong with the 2019 model? And I'm going to show you what I think about that when we compare the 2019 interior to the 2024 with this huge TV on the dash. There's no Super Cruise available for the XT4, however it is available on the $300,000 Celestiq supercar. And you also have 3 new colors and a new front fascia, and you still thankfully get the 20-inch wheels, however in a new design. The thing with the old XT4, I think it looks beautiful, but you need to have the specific set of 20-inch that they offered when you optioned your car. If you don't have those, it completely ruins the stance of the car. So I hope the new 20-inch wheels look and have the same feel and plants the new XT4 just as well as it did in 2019. You have 3 trim levels: luxury, premium, and sport, and the powertrain on all 3 is the same: 235 horsepower, 258 pound-feet of torque, 2-liter turbo 4, which I think suits this type of package. You have all-wheel drive available on all trims, which is great. The starting price is $38,000 to $43,000 estimated, which is a pretty decent range. If it's only $5,000 more to get the all-wheel drive model with the 20-inch wheels, I would definitely go for that. So now we're gonna have a look at the comparison between the old XT4. There are some changes even in the rear, which I really like. We're gonna have a look at that in just a second. But before we do that, I want to go in and talk about what's going on with the sedan market right now, and why I love what Cadillac has been doing since they introduced this very sharp and chiseled design language in their cars. So we have a lineup of a bunch of different sedans here, and what I think Germany has been doing with their sedans, specifically Mercedes, looking at this and comparing this to the W140, which I have down here in this collage here as well, further down. But look at how soft this has become. It doesn't demand the same respect as the W140 with these very boxy, solid lines and kind of sharp corners that suits a luxury SUV. And that's why I think Cadillac right now is the new German luxury sedan brand when it comes to styling. Because if you look at both the gorgeous E38 down here and the W140, the CT6 looks like a modernization of these cars, because we have the same kind of feeling in the boxiness and the sharpness of this design that we have in those two, the W140 and the E38. And that's why I love the CT6. I think it's a gorgeous design, and it's really unfortunate that they are canceling this car in the US. However, looking at the BMW 7 Series, this is why I prefer the 7 Series over the Mercedes S-Class, because I think the 7 Series has a lot more going for it that suits a big luxury sedan. This type of styling that we have in the S-Class, yes, it's soft and it looks pretty good, but it suits a C-Class, maybe an E-Class. When you jump up to the S-Class, you need to have this solid stance and this elegance and stateliness in their designs, and I think that's lacking big time in the new S-Class, but it looks a lot better in the new 7 Series, and that's again why I think the CT6 is a perfect modernization when it comes to style of the W140 and the E38. The E38, I mean, if I were to pick one, it's gonna have to be the E38. It's such a stunning looking design, this car. It looks like a shark, super slim. Just look at how low the hood sits in the front end. You have this almost leaning forward motion when you look at it from this side view. It feels like it sits a little higher in the back and then is ready to pounce with all these lines, making it look longer than what it is, and the greenhouse being boxed out like this, like we have in modern Cadillacs as well. It looks slim, it looks athletic, it looks like a shark ready to attack from a side view, and that's why I love about the E38. Now look at the height of the front end of the new 7 Series and how much higher this sits. Compare that to the E38. I know we're going off on a tangent here, but I just want to show you why I'm such a huge fan of Cadillac sedans, and I hope they come back in the end. So now let's jump into what this video is all about, the XT4. So let's have a look at the changes in the front end. As I said, I think this is one of the best looking small luxury SUVs on the market. It looks like a unit. Looking at this from a side view, just feels solid and planted. However, as I said, you need to have the 20-inch wheels. I think these are 20s or maybe 19s, but these are not my favorite wheels of this generation, the pre-facelift. There are a set of other wheels that I think look better and plants the car better than these do. But if you go with the 18-inch wheels, you might as well forget everything about plantedness of the XT4, because it totally ruins the stance of the car. You need to have the 20-inch wheels on the XT4. Beautiful graphics in the front end of the 2019 as well. But looking at the new one, what they did is they modernized the front end a lot by adding modern graphics from other Cadillac models. We now have the same kind of line that we have in the 2019, creating this corner and kind of emphasizes the sharpness of the front end corner. Then we have, it looks like this is an LED daytime running light or something, some trim. It looks like there's some plastic here, clear plastic, so there has to be some sort of light behind there. But the big change here is look at where the headlight positioning is on the 2019, and look at where they moved it in the 2024. Typical trend that goes on right now, moving the headlights down to the bumper. And in this case, I think it looks really good. It looks like the headlight is supposed to sit in the bumper, and I like that it's in line with this LED as well. These 3 LEDs here, they feel like they're in line with the rest of the graphics in the front end. And also changes to this part in the lower part. It looks even more chiseled now and even more modernized, and it doesn't have it still has a strong identity, so they didn't remove and minimalize everything in the front end. They still have a clear brand identity, specifically with this light bar here in the corner and this blacked out grille, but now we have a little bit more sporty design in this part. As you can see, the old one looked pretty plain and simple, but now the designers feels like they came back with some passion and decided, let's do some fun. Let's have some fun with the lower part of the intake here, and it looks a lot better in my opinion than the old one, specifically removing this chrome trim around the grille, but also having this line now that we have in the grille going in to some features in the lower part. So we have a connection now between the top grille and the lower grille, which I think is a beautiful touch. Now, looking at the rear end, this is surprising to me because usually what companies do, they focus on the drivetrains, powertrains, and they focus on the front end. The rear end is kind of, people forget about it, that we maybe want to update the rear end as well if you do a facelift for the model, and they actually did that here. There's tiny changes, Small subtle changes, but I think it steps up the XT4's luxury feel in the design in the rear. So specifically, the positioning of these reflectors here, they are now integrated in a much more beautiful way, in my opinion, in here, in this wing. So we have almost like a wide body, a subtle wide body fender in the rear end that now houses this reflector. It just feels like it has its clear home in the new one better than it had randomly just sitting in top of this plastic bumper. Another detail I want to show you here that feels like it just makes the car feel more refined, and that is the connection between the bumper and the body. So here in the 2019, it's only a straight line and then kind of cuts into the plastic in a not so smooth way with this connection here. But what they did with the new one is that they raised this piece up and created a nice beautiful chamfer that goes around here, and also the integration of the bumper feels a lot smoother here, and it feels like it's more intentional to have the bumper be integrated like this than we had in the previous pre-facelift generation up here. Now let's talk about this interior. So I don't think there's anything wrong with the 2019 interior. These look like they are analog gauges. Perfect, I don't mind that at all. We have the nice screen in the middle, and we have a beautiful housing and cozy roof for the entire gauge cluster, with some beautifully integrated vents in the side, which feels like they are part of the flow of the entire dashboard. I think this is a nice interior, and you also have this screen, which is totally right, in my opinion, in size. You don't need to have any bigger screens than this, and it also, on top of that, it feels well integrated, which is a rare feat these days. Instead of just having it bam like this, a TV on the dash, this feels like it's been integrated well in the design, having almost laying down in this pocket that's been carved out for the display. I think it's a nice touch. Now look at what happened here in the in the new one. I mean, it's not a surprise really. Everybody's doing this right now, just adding big screens, curved displays inside. It doesn't look bad. I think this looks a lot better than, for example, BMW, what they're doing with just a square screen where you can even see the mounting points in the behind it. It doesn't look good at all. Here they try to at least integrate it and make it follow the flow of the interior of the XT4, which I think it's a way better approach than, as I said, BMW's approach. We also have a new steering wheel design. This feels like it's taking a little bit of inspiration from the grille design of the Lyric and the Celestiq, for example, having these pieces at the very end points of this lower part. Very clean design that kind of steps it up when it comes to steering wheel design, but honestly, I don't know which one I would prefer of these. I think this looks more homey and more warm, welcoming than the big screen here, but at the same time, this is a pretty decent integration. If you're gonna have a big screen like this is what I want to see, this type of integration, if you really need to go with a big 33-inch curved display.